Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I am Jeremy Noell, joined with Jonathan Suarez, and today we are talking about the Commander 2020 deck, Enhanced Evolution. So this deck is one that is very near and dear to my heart because it does have a sub-theme of X spells and has my favorite card in it, Villainous Wealth. So we're going to get that out of there right away. I definitely have a couple of cards in here that really care about that X spell sub-theme, but the main theme of the deck is actually the new mechanic Mutate from Ikoria, and because it is headed up by Otrimi the Ever Playful, which is a 6/6 Nightmare Beast for 3 black, green, blue. It has Mutate for 1 black, green, blue, Trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, return target creature card with Mutate from your graveyard to your hand. So if you're playing with Otrimi, you definitely want to have a few more Mutate cards. And I think both John and I actually agreed on several cards for this deck.
Yeah.
Because it is such a new mechanic and there are not really a lot of cards with the new mechanic on it. So the first big one that we both agreed on was Brookeos, Apex of Forever. John, do you want to go over this card a little bit?
Sure. So Brookeos, Apex of Forever is a 5 mana, 2 colors, black, green, blue, legendary creature, Nightmare Beast Elemental, of course, because it's Mutate. Its Mutate cost is 2 colorless, and then Dimir Hybrid, green, green. It is a 6/6 Trampler, and whenever you may cast Brookeos, Apex of Forever from your graveyard using its Mutate ability. So this is just going to keep coming back endlessly.
Yep. 5 mana, just over and over again.
5 mana over and over again. If you don't want to cast it for its Mutate, or from the graveyard, you could pick it back up with Otrimi.
Yep.
Which is pretty good. And then just cast it as itself, a 6/6 Trampler if you want to. Very powerful card. The Mutate ability is a lot of fun. I've played a lot with it in Limited. It's more interesting and a very deep mechanic, even though there's not very many choices. Between over under,
yeah.
But it still leads to a lot of really exciting and fun gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. I've definitely opened Brookeos a couple of times in draft myself, and it's just a lot of fun. So
the next card we have, though, this one I've opened a lot.
Yeah, I have not actually had a chance to open this one, I don't think. And that is Gemrazor. It's 3 and a green for 4/4 with Reach and Trample, Mutate 1 green, and whenever it mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. So
sweet
this
card.
This is just really sweet because it for 1 green, you just get your Croson Grip without the split second portion of it, but you just get to destroy something. You get your what's the Reclamation Sage is the one. So for an extra green rather than a colorless, you get a 4/4 out of it with Reach Trample. And every time you mutate, which you can mutate several times onto the same creature, it blows up another artifact or enchantment. So you get more and more value out of it.
Yeah, and it's at least a 4/4, which is nice.
Yeah,
you can make it a 4/4, and then there's mutate's fun because you get to choose the over or under. If your opponent has a card like or I guess Ensnaring Bridge would probably get blown up by Gemrazor. But if there was still an Ensnaring Bridge around, you could put this under your 2/2, so that you could still attack as you want. There's just a lot of play and a lot of play in so few options.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of decisions in it. Most of the time, you're just going to be going whatever has the higher power and toughness, but you are going to have those cases where it's going to be like, okay, well, if I do this, then I get this advantage out of it. So
I'm certain I've lost many games by mutating incorrectly.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive of it.
For sure. The last one that we both agreed on is one that I think that it seems really easy to overlook, but is really powerful in a deck like this, which is Silhana Ledgewalker. This is a 1/1 for 1 and a green. It's an elf rogue, and that's the key here, is it's not a human. So you can mutate onto it.
The ears are very pointy on that picture.
So you can
important to note.
Mutate onto it. The 2 abilities that it has hexproof before hexproof. So it can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. And then it also it can't be blocked except by creatures with flying. So it has like the negative reach. So Really, really good creature to come down early to mutate onto.
Yes.
Because it's just like when you play any of the boggles, the hexproof creatures that just get a bunch of enchantments put onto it. Mutate is fairly similar. You just mutate right onto it. You get your bonuses for the mutate, and you can swing in with a really big creature and that they can't do anything about.
Yep. Putting Otremi on this is going to be disgusting.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's one word for it.
My next card is one that is near and dear to my heart in pretty much any black-blue deck that I want to play, which is Baleful Strix. It's another card that you can put any sort of mutate onto because it is just artifact creature bird. So it's a 1/1 for a blue and a black, flying death touch, and whenever it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So you get to replace it right away. The 2 keywords are really big for this because you put
for sure
you put an Otremi on it, you put Brookeos on it, and then you have a flying death touch trampling creature. That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah. Having the 2 keywords on it is like it's already really nice as a blocker in pretty much any deck that's running black blue, but in this deck it is super fantastic.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's a blocker that has death touch and trample, and it's a 6/4.
Yeah.
So death touch and trample interact very favorably for you, so that's a pretty good ability to give to a creature with mutate.
Very much so. Your next couple, I believe, are in the same vein of mutate.
Yeah. So mutate is new to Ikoria, and there are several mutate cards in this commander deck, but there are also several mutate cards that are just in Ikoria. So the next card I selected was Polliwog Symbiote, which I believe its other version is Baby Godzilla, which is great. This is a colorless and blue 1/3 frog, and each creature spell you cast costs 1 less if it has mutate, which is great with your commander and all the other mutate cards in the deck. And whenever you cast a creature spell, if it has mutate, you get to draw a card, discard it.
Yep.
So
yeah,
great card.
What
plays to everything you want to do with this deck. It was made for the mutate mechanic.
Yeah.
So.
And one of the really cool advantages with this as well is that it says each creature spell you cast costs 1 less if it has mutate, and not it makes the mutate cost 1 less. So if you just have this and you just need another creature out there, you can just run out your Brookeos or your commander for 1 less. It actually makes your commander just cost 1 less every time you cast it from the command zone, no matter what. So really, really good card. Go ahead and talk about your next one, since it's
I have one more mutate creature that I selected that's straight from Ikoria, and this one is Boneyard Lurker. It's a 2 colors Golgari black-green creature, nightmare beast, and then it has mutate of 2, and then Golgari hybrid, and it is a 4/4 creature. And whenever this creature mutates, you get to return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. In Limited, this card almost exclusively returns creatures, so I forget that it's actually permanent, which is going to be pretty sweet.
Yep.
For Commander.
Yeah. Definitely has
you just get to
a lot of stuff it can grab.
Yeah. It's not quite Eternal Witness. It can't grab a spell and it can't grab land, but it's in the theme of what you're trying to do, and it's a 4/4 for 4.
No, it can grab a land.
So the stats are great. Oh, it can grab it can grab a land, it just can't grab a spell.
Yeah, it can't grab a spell.
So, sure.
Yep.
I'm on board.
Target permanent card.
This is
real.
Yeah.
Real good. In a similar vein, not a mutate card, but one that you can mutate onto, my next one is Muldrotha the Gravetide, which is an elemental avatar 6/6. I think a lot of people are probably familiar with this, but during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. So this is really good if you want to play the small creatures that you want to mutate back onto. So if your Otremi dies, goes to the command zone, and you have your Solana Ledgewalker that got blown up and is in your graveyard, you play your Muldrotha, you replay your Solana, you can just mutate right back onto it. So I think this is it's not quite a staple, but it's pretty close to a staple in Sultai decks. I think you just pretty much want to run this if you can.
It's definitely makes you the target.
Yes, for sure.
If you ever cast Muldrotha, regardless if it's your commander or not.
Yes.
It's very, very
powerful card.
So my next card is the last card, I believe, that I chose for Ikoria. It is the Mythos of Brookeos. So for 2 colors, green sorcery, return up to 2 permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. Notice that it did not say target. which is odd for cards like this. But it also has the ability of, if you've paid a blue and a black, so if you pay blue, black, green, green, when you cast this, you get to search your library for a card and put it into your graveyard, and then shuffle your library. So it's kind of a regrowth meets demonic tutor. And even if you don't have the blue, black, and you just want to return the 2 creatures for whatever reason, you only have green and black at the time. You can return 2 creatures or 2 cards, 2 permanents from your graveyard to your hand. So very sweet card from this set. It's going to go great with all of your mutate creatures when you want to buy them back. If you want to, kind of demonic tutor for one of them, put it to your graveyard and bring it back. This is going to be a sweet card for this deck.
Yeah, I definitely think so. It is super, super fun. In a kind of similar vein, at least for searching your library, one that I think is really good in green currently is shared summons. And I think with this being slightly more creature focused, if you're playing the Otrimi version of the deck, this one is really good. It's an instant speed for 3 green green. You can search your library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library. So it's kind of like half of a tooth and nail. Can't put them directly into play, but goes and gets what you need, and at instant speed, works really, really well. And all your cards are going to have different names anyway, unless you're deciding to play a petitioner's deck in your Otrimi for some reason.
Well, unlike you mentioned Tooth and Nail, but actually this card is probably better for this deck, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't mutate off of Tooth.
Correct.
You can only just put them into play. So this card goes and gets the mutate cards that you want.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big advantage of the card. It does cost a little less with not having the entwine in it, but getting to put them directly into your hand and not into play is actually kind of an advantage for this deck, because you want to put them all
for sure
stack and have the biggest monster you can make.
That's right. And the biggest monster you can make, speaking of... The biggest,
scariest monster.
This definitely the scariest at the very least. My next card was Phage the Untouchable. Phage the Untouchable is a 3 colorless, black, 4/4 minion legend. When Phage comes into play, it has the fantastic text of, if you did not play it from your hand, you lose the game. But if Phage deals combat damage to a creature, you destroy the creature and it can't be regenerated. And if Phage ever deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So, mutating onto Phage with Otrimi to give it trample, or maybe mutating a pouncing land shark, or I think that's the name of the card, where you get to bounce the creature out of play and clear the way for your Phage, or any of the other ones that we've covered, is going to be one of the best ways to win the game in this deck. Yeah. I love killing people with Phage.
It is super fun. It is an avatar minion, though. That has been a rat.
Or avatar minion. Okay, the printed Legions version is a minion legend. Because, back then.
Yeah.
Avatar.
Yeah, the avatar minion.
Makes sense.
With the reprint from Conspiracy, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah, super fun card. You're going to get somebody with it. If you put it, one of the flying mutate creatures on it, too, just like... Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm going to be able to block that with all of my, ground tokens. And, flying. Gotcha. Now you're out of the game. It's going to annoy somebody.
It is. And it's one of the best ways to win a game in Commander.
Oh, yeah. Super satisfying. My next one is one that is actually going to try and protect your mutated creatures, because you're going to be putting sort of all your, eggs in one basket with mutating onto one creature and over again. You do want to protect it. So my next card is Asceticism, which is an enchantment for 3 green. Creatures you control can't be the targets of spells or abilities your opponents control. Just your creatures have hexproof, and you can regenerate target creature for 1 and a green. So basically, if this is still out, one of the only ways that they can get it is if you don't have any open mana left to regenerate, if they have a wrath that says it can't be regenerated, or if they force you to sacrifice your only creature. So really, really well protects your one big mutated creature.
For sure. So the next card I chose, kind of expensive card, but I feel like this is a staple you want to get in your binder for your Golgari decks, is Assassin's Trophy. So Assassin's Trophy, green-black, instant, destroys things.
Yep.
Right? Basically, to get rid of it, go get a land.
Yep. Destroy target.
Very, very, very efficient.
Permanent and opponent controls is...
Permanent.
Very good. Yeah, definitely...
Yes.
Definitely should be...
And you get a basic land.
Yeah.
Only can get a basic land out of it.
Yep.
So, if you play this in the late game, ramping your opponent a basic land is pretty irrelevant.
Yeah. Or if you're...
It's not the kind of card you want to cast on turn 2, but you also don't need to waste your best removal spell on turn 2, hopefully. But later in the game, just pick a card. As long as it doesn't have hexproof or indestructible or protection from black or green, it's gone.
Get rid of their one annoying flyer with your mutated phage. And
sure. Yep. Yeah. Super efficient.
All right, so I have a couple more. These next two are definitely going to be more for the X spell side of the deck. This is one that Sheldon Menery actually asked me, hey, if you were to put one card into this deck, what would it be? And I said, Unbound Flourishing, for sure. This is one of my favorite cards to come out recently. It's 2 colorless and a green enchantment. Whenever you cast a permanent spell with a mana cost that contains X, double the value of X. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell or activate an ability, if that spell's mana cost or that ability's activation cost contains X, copy that spell or ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Super sweet card. I love this so much. So you get things like that are already in the deck. Like you're going to have your Nissa, Steward of Elements is a permanent. You have your Unbound Flourishing out. You pay X equals 4. It comes with 8 counters on it. You can automatically tick down that 6 to make 2 5/5 flying lands with haste. If if it's at an 8, you use its 0 ability to look at the top and put some big dumb thing into play. Really good. Also, again, really good for Villainous Wealth, which is definitely a big part of it. I bought my foil Unbound Flourishing as soon as I could to go right into my Villainous Wealth.
Of course.
Deck. So, but that one's like very much an auto include if you're trying to go the X route with this deck.
Your next card's another X card.
It is. I'll go over that then, which is this one's a little bit more expensive. I don't know if it's just because it's still in standard and it's still just a really powerful card, or if it's because it's a mythic, but it is Hydroid Krasis. Just a fantastic creature. Green, blue, and X comes into play. Or when you cast it, you gain half X life and draw half X cards rounded down each time. Because of the fact that Unbound Flourishing actually says double the value of X, you get that advantage. So when you cast it, it comes in, or it doubles that amount. So if you cast it for 4, automatically goes up to 8, you draw 4, gain 4, comes in with 8 +1/+1 counters. Plus it has flying and trample. So if you are trying to mutate anything onto this, it's got those 2 really good keywords, and gets that big advantage because it is a jellyfish Hydra beast. So,
yeah. One of the benefits of that as well, mutate.
Mm-hmm.
Mutating onto Hydroid Krasis is actually insane because it has flying and trample, and then if you choose to put the mutate creature on top of it, it's whatever the mutate creature is plus all those +1/+1 counters.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So you mutate a Tremie onto it. It's now a 6/6 with all those extra counters on it.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, however many counters you had on it, plus the Otremi itself. So, very sweet. Very sweet interaction. So my last, or I have 2 cards left. I have another card that this card probably doesn't see as much Commander play as it should. I'm obviously, an older school player, but this has been a staple for Golgari since I've been playing Magic, basically, and it's Pernicious Deed. Colors, black, green, enchantment. Pay X, sacrifice Pernicious Deed, destroy each artifact, creature, enchantment with converted mana cost X or less. So it leaves around Planeswalkers because they didn't exist when this card was printed. Although I think they should update it. That was the intent, was to blow up everything, and now this new card type comes in and you can't blow that up. But it also works in your favor if you pack your deck full of Planeswalkers, so there's that too. But this card is great. It can actually play pretty nice with Mutate. You can choose to mutate your more expensive card, and then the mutated creature, instead of being a Solana Ledgewalker with cost 2, it's actually, Brookeos with converted mana cost 5. So then you can pop your deed for 4 and hit everything except for the Brookeos, and it doesn't worry about your Solana.
Yep.
So it's pretty nice that it gets to play around with flexibility like that.
And if you're going...
I think this is just one of those kind of cards that's just a staple for Golgari decks.
And if you're trying to blow up a bunch of larger things and you really need to write that turn... it also works with Unbound Flourishing because Unbound Flourishing does care about the activated ability. So because it is X,
that's sweet.
sacrifice it as part of the activation, you can double the X automatically, and then you double your converted mana cost that you're going for.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
It's super sweet.
Awesome.
It's just like, oh man, they have these 6 mana things out, but I only have 6 total mana. You pernicious deed, pay 3, you got them. Got all their 6 mana stuff.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
So my last one is another one of my favorite Simic kind of cards. That is Edric Spymaster of Trest. It is another non-human creature that you can mutate onto because it's an elf rogue. It is a 2/2 for green and a blue, but this one is one of my favorites for Simic because of the fact that it's not quite Simic where you're gaining all the advantage out of it. It's a little bit more political in that it makes your opponents think of how they want to attack and how they want to deal combat damage. Because if they don't attack you, if they attack one of your opponents, they get to draw the cards as well. So you've got this kind of inherent, like, okay, well, I've got this already in play, and then you just mutate something big and nasty onto it, swing in, get to draw your card. But that still sticks around and makes your opponents think about what they're doing, where their attacks are going. So your last card, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this card is sweet. So this card is from Urza's Legacy, and it's been printed a couple of times in Commander as well. I think it was in 2015 and 2013. But it is Phyrexian Reclamation. 1 black enchantment. You can pay a colorless and a black and 2 life to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Mutate cards or creatures. If you build your giant mutate creature and it gets taken down by somebody for pretty low cost and some life, this will allow you to rebuild it, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Being able to buy back those abilities, one of the cards I mentioned was Boneyard Lurker. This is all the kind of recursion kind of stuff you want so that you can always rebuild through your mutate.
Yeah, because if you can't wait to cast your Trimi onto something and then wait another turn to swing with it to deal the combat damage to get the one creature with mutate back to your hand, this will just kind of slowly build them up. If you just want to dump a bunch of mana and a bunch of life into it, you can get them all at once. So, however,
you draw this card late game and all of a sudden, you just dump 7 mana into it and 6 life, and you've drawn 3 cards essentially.
Yep. So those are our 10 cards. Well, a little less than 10 because we had some overlap there with the mutate cards. But those are our suggestions for upgrades to the Enhanced Evolution deck for Commander 2020. Make sure to let us know what cards you would add to the deck in the comments. If there's anything else that you think just would be an automatic include. Again, we're trying not to kind of like be too heavy on like the staples or the mana bases. So just some interesting cards that you can think of that, hey, this would be very sweet in this kind of deck. Make sure to go ahead and throw that in the comments. And then also make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And for John Suarez, I'm Jeremy Noell. Thanks for watching.